Thank you. These new members, great number of them are actually new businesses that have come into Coolidge in the last, actually, some of these in the last 3 or 4 months. So that's part of what we're going to look at today. Okay. Some of our major accomplishments. Let's start off with the good first. Can you guys can hear me, right? Okay. Our city buildings remained open. And first, I probably should say that COVID was really a disaster for us here in Coolidge, as well as everybody else. We lost a lot of good citizens, and by no means did we take it lightly. But every community handled it a little bit differently, and so I want to say that before I get going with this. City buildings remained open during the COVID-19 to serve the public. We were one of only a handful of Arizona cities that did so. We got a $5 million bond to construct an aquatic center and road improvements along Northern Avenue. We acquired the Felix building to be the future home of the Public Works Department. We're going to have some slides that are going to be along with these. The fire department purchased and refurbished the fire engine to be in service soon. Home building is strong with 4 builders constructing homes. Wastewater operations have been temporarily managed by outside consultant to be best direct the city in ongoing operations and guidance. Roads have been repaired, resurfaced, and replaced, and the library and parks recreation continue to resume in-person programs after the COVID-19 shutdown. Let's go ahead and let's move the slides. Okay, here we go. Thanks, Gabe. This goes to show you where our money, the city of Coolidge, how our money is set up and how we get it. Out of every $100, the city of Coolidge gets $14. Most of the money goes to the schools. Pinal County gets 30%, Central Arizona College gets 15%, and we come in at last place at 14%. And so let's move to the next slide. Financed by revenues, this will show you where most of our income comes from. The two main sources are city sales tax and state shared revenue. We were just over $5 million in city sales tax last year, and state shared revenue, we were just under $4 million. So that shows you the importance of shopping locally. If there was an advantage to COVID, people stayed home and shopped locally, and that benefits everybody when they do that. Finance expenditures by departments. It's kind of as you can see, the police operations get a lot of the money. So there's no shortage of spending on public safety, but that is a business that you got to continue to spend because there is a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of police officers. It's hard to get police officers. You can't just pick them off the street. You got to train them. From the time you actually hire them to the time they get on the road, it's about a year. So you've got to be operating until you can get the new ones out, and then after a while, they leave for more money or other things. So there's a lot of things involved. Every position in the city is important. Fire, believe it or not, despite what you would read, is one of the top getters of the money. It looks like growth management, even though they're short-handed, gets a bit of the money, and finance, even though they could use more people. So that's where the money is spent in the town. Finance department did get received a Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting Award again. They've got the CAFR Award for the last 10 consecutive years, and this is a big award in the business, and they've got it for 10 years in a row. So thanks to Gabe and his staff. The new Parks and Recreation Aquatic Center was a close vote, but the citizens put it out, and here we go. The work continues. If you've been around Northern Avenue or you live on Northern Avenue, you're well aware of what's going on over there. But for those who haven't, this is what the final project's going to look like when it's done, which it should be, I think the last I heard, May 28th might be when it's going to, we're going to have the ribbon cutting and open it up. And so the pool will be able to accommodate swim meets, which we've never been able to do here in Coolidge before. They'll have a real competition pool for a change. And even if we aren't involved in one, they might be able to have meets, since we're the central city in Pinal County, might be able to have swim meets there, even if our teams aren't competing. It'll have a splash pad, water slide, and other features will enhance the overall usability of this complex, of the center. Park and recreation nights. Movie nights held year-round with alternating locations between the Coolidge Youth Center and Kenilworth Sports Complex. Movies in the park will resume at Kenilworth on April 23rd. Prior to the governor lifting the ban on doing anything in Arizona, we were opening the park, Kenilworth, on, I believe it was Tuesdays, Thursdays, in the evenings at no cost. Ordinarily, before the COVID hit, we were charging people, but we did it on Tuesdays and Thursdays because we got some citizens came forward and said that their kids were getting tired of sitting around the house, and they wanted to get them out there to do a little exercise. So they were out, and now that the places are busy, they're busy all the time. Parks and Rec, we did have a Christmas light parade in the traditional sense, if you will. We were one of the few cities to do that, but it went off pretty well. And I was out there, and the people on Main Street where I was at all stayed away from each other and had masks on. So, but nevertheless, it went pretty well. The sports leagues have resumed allowing adults and youth to participate once again in the activities. So they're pretty successful. I think we've had more kids out. I'm not going to say anything about the first pitch of Little League because I know there's somebody here that'll say something. But we do have some Little League teams, more teams than we had the last couple of years. So that's good. Building permits. You'll see here they continue to stay strong. You got Nicola is coming in and getting a lot of permits. Small and large home builders and other activity in the permitting, and Coolidge is poised for tremendous growth. But when you look, 2020 we had 1,066 permits and issued with 512 single-family homes for over 300 million. 2021 through April 15th, we've already had 397 new home permits issued. Or wait a minute, total, and 286 single-family for a value of over 91 million up to April 15th of this year. So we're doing fairly well in that area, and with the new builders, which there'll be a slide here in a while to show you the new builders we've got. We've even got one that came in from Colorado we've never had before. Multifamily housing. Actually, we're probably doing better than almost all the cities in Pinal County when we're doing the multifamily housing. That looks like the complex across the road, the one on the top right on Vaca Inn. When I build out, there'll be almost 400 apartments, I believe. Isn't that right? 400, right, Gil? Yeah, almost 400 apartments over there. And, the one thing you always hear, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that before we get out of here. No, they're not low-income apartments. They're regular, real apartments. They're going to have clubhouse, a pool. They're going to have everything that you would find in any other community. And they're doing an excellent job of building them. These down here on the left are the senior apartments on the end of Sproul Street, east off of the boulevard, Arizona Boulevard. They're finally complete, and they're finally putting some seniors in there. And along with this project, they fixed the drainage problem over on 3rd and Sproul, which we'd had for quite some time. And at their expense, they fixed that problem for the city. So thank you to them. Here's a picture of our new home builders that we have right now that are active. Cross Creek on the very top just opened up. Richmond, America, and Oakwood are in there. That's the one that's over by, over by Imagine. They're going to have, almost 700 lots in there. You see Heartland Ranch, they got two builders in there. Los Albres is going to open up again. Century's going over there. That's the one across from, I believe it's Carter Ranch. And Brown is going to be, and Richmond and Century are going to be in, they're almost finished up in McClellan Meadows. There's still some lots in there, but they're getting done in there. So, and then Picacho Crossing is building on the other side now, Century, and Martin Valley still has D.R. Horton. So as you can see, there's still a lot of building going on in Coolidge. I think the last stat we saw, the average was 3.3 people per household. So if you look at those, that's quite a bit of people coming. That's a big impact on our city services, police, fire, everybody else, as well as our schools, if they go to school in Coolidge. Development annexations. We've annexed over 6,000 acres in the last 12 months. That's 9.54 square miles. Fortunately, a lot of it, there were no people in those areas. And our city limits now encompass 83.4 square miles. The orange to red shade, whatever color you see, have not been finished yet. Those annexations aren't complete. Sustainability. Our economic development is still going to be, a lot of it's going to be farming, even though they have limited water supplies. Solar, which we'll address that here very shortly, and battery and hydrogen electric vehicles. Farming and water. Recently, the city signed agreements with a lot of the local farmers to accept effluent from our wastewater treatment plant. This is going to give us potential water shortage credits, which will increase the capacity for our future. There's a lot going on right now. We should have been getting water storage credits for a long time, and we haven't. So we've taken action to hire a water consultant and do the necessary things we have to do, including upgrading our wastewater treatment plant and finding other places to put the wastewater that comes out of the wastewater treatment plant. We can't use it on our own farmland because the city of Coolidge has farmland. We can't lose it on our own farmland or we don't get credit for it. So we have to use it on other farms. So that's why we've signed the agreements, and that's why we'll be able to hopefully get credit for the money. There's a lot of money involved, and that water is going to become more valuable because we're looking to do something to our plant to upgrade it to a A+ effluent, and we'll be able to sell it. Development, here's our solar sites. We have approximately 2,000 acres actively engaged in solar activity, and there's 6,000 additional acres planned for future solar use. And you see a list of the ones here, and you can see most of them are away west and south of Coolidge proper, if you will. I would remind everybody, depending on how you feel about solar, the city of Coolidge does not go out and recruit people and ask them if they want solar on their properties. The people that own the property come to the city of Coolidge, and they go through a process with our planning and zoning, and sometimes they'll make it they make it to the council, and we'll do what they want. A lot of times there's a lot of reasons they do it. It's their personal reasons. Part of it has to do with if you don't have any water, you can't farm. So that's part of the issue. But it is a personal decision. We don't actively recruit and try to get anything that way. We just believe that people should be able to do what they want with their property. Nicola. So I'm going to set the record straight right now, because just about everywhere you go, every mayor that makes a speech or says something somehow implies that Nicola is in their city. Now, that's in the city of Coolidge right there. The southernmost tip, but the city of Coolidge. So I'm going to set the record straight right now. They can dance around it all they want, but that's in the city of Coolidge. And so they should be getting pretty close. That's what it's going to look like when it's done. Let's hit another slide. That's what it looks like. Actually, it's farther along now. They've got the walls on. They've got the AC units up. Do we have another picture of it? Or is that it? Let me see. You can't really see Building 100, but Building 100 will be the storage place for the batteries. By the end of summer, they'll be building the Tray A battery electrical powered cab over truck. There won't be any hydrogen yet, but hydrogen will be in the next phase. To build out of this factory, they will have 1.4 million square feet under roof. So that's what it looked like a while back. We were out there yesterday on the canal bank for reasons I can't disclose, but they were legal. And it's a lot farther along. There's a giant water tank on to the right there, and now it's almost walled in, and there's AC units on the building. Okay. One of the things I would like to say about that, I would like to thank actually Pinal County and Eloy. We got into a build grant, which Pinal County filed for, and Eloy and Coolidge are partners with. That grant is almost $15 million, and Pinal County and us almost $2.7 million. And that's going to take in fixing the roads on Hauser and Hannah, I believe it's Hannah, and it's going to take in the railroad tracks and doing a number of other things, something on Vale Road to the east of this facility. And so there's a lot of things involved with that build grant that we probably would have had a lot of problem coming up with the money if we didn't get it. That's a federal grant. Okay. Here's the business development, new businesses in town. We've had quite a few. We haven't had one of these State of the Cities in 2 years. We picked a lot of them from just the last year. You'll see that this is an old business down here that was repurposed, print and embroidery. The owners opened it up for reasons I discussed. They left, but the guys that own the one in Casa Grande bought it and opened it up here, and they have Coolidge people working in it. There's Nana's Coffee Shop. There's Robles's that moved over here from Florence. There's a lot of them in there that are the DAV. City leased the building to the DAV, and they've spent well over $100,000 redoing that building of their own money. So we've got a number of shops and stores that have opened in Coolidge in the last year or so. Transit, that is a different shot from the facility, but it maintained full operations throughout COVID-19. They received $821,000 plus in the CARES Act funding to maintain the transit services. Coolidge Transit and the CART and the Cotton Express, because there's two. One that goes, through with our partners. They go to Casa Grande and Florence and CAC. They averaged 1,608 riders per month in 2020, totaling now almost 20,000 passenger trips a year. We saw the lowest ridership since 2009, but our annual transit ridership decreased by 37% in 2020 due to the COVID. But our peers, the other buses, similar operations we run, they were down 50%. So we were still about 12.5% ahead of them. The positive news: March 2021 ridership was the highest in 12 months. They had 1,599 passenger trips in 2021. Okay, roadway improvements, roadway completed in the progress. In 2019, we did 1.5 miles of roadway, double chip, paving, what have you. 2020, we'll do 2.5 miles, and in 2021, we'll do 4.5 miles. And Matt didn't swallow his sandwich too hard, so I guess that's true. resurface streets in the downtown area as well as north of Arizona Boulevard. We're still working on the area west of Arizona Boulevard to 9th and over to Northern. Um, it takes a lot. We share equipment with Pinal County. So a lot of times we have to wait when they're not doing something, which I blame that on Councilman Navarro. He ought to be able to do something about it. But they have their own projects of their own. And so when they have their projects scheduled, we have to wait for the equipment because we have a partnership with them when it comes to equipment use. And we have some equipment, but it would take us probably 3 or 4 times as long, and their equipment is that much larger than ours and that much faster. So that's why we do things the way we do. It's not because we want to make the people in that subdivision mad. If you read social media, they think that's why we do it, but that's not why we do it. We do it because we're in a partnership with Pinal County, and we have to wait on equipment uses and manpower. Imagine Schools, there we are. I've been after this sidewalk for many years because I don't think it was safe for those kids to walk to Imagine Schools on the dirt and the brush and everything that was over there. And so here's the ribbon cutting of the sidewalk. And I know most people don't think that's a big deal, but that's a big deal to those children and their parents. And it's a safety issue because you're supposed to have sidewalks next to a school. If you have a crosswalk, you're supposed to have sidewalk on each side of it. And it wasn't that long ago when we did one down by the pool, when we did something at the pool, and we did one down by the pool on Northern that didn't have a sidewalk down there. So, but this was good. The chairman from the Ohodom tribe came, Tahoe Odom, Ned Norris came and was here for this, which they very rarely come to these, and they came. So they gave us a grant for $15,000, and that's how we afforded to do this. As we didn't have it in our budget, and they gave us the money, and so now we've done it. So that's the importance of partnerships with other agencies. Oh, the new Public Works building that we purchased from Felix Construction over in our industrial park in town here. Those guys didn't want to go. You can see what they've been working in for the last 50 years. Fine looking building, no heat, no air, but they're tough guys. But now they're going over here. And so that building probably in June will be our building. That's when we'll be able to occupy it. And so it's a nice building. We got it for under the appraised value. And that's where our Public Works guys go. Nobody deserves it more than they do. They've worked in the worst conditions of anybody we've got working for the city for many, many years. And this building will be a good change of pace for them. The location is good, other than our Sweetwater Pond. Go ahead. There's one of our 3 famous ponds, but they're over in that area where there is the wastewater treatment plant backs up to that building, and they're in the industrial park. So they will be in a location where if anything happens, they'll be right there. So wastewater operations. We could spend hours talking about that. I'm going to try and get through it as quickly as possible. Coolidge is working with EUSI to temporarily manage our wastewater plant. We had some people retire, and we were left literally without any staff at all out there. So we're hiring from the beginning with people with no experience whatsoever. So we went to this EUSI to help teach the new people that we are going to hire how to do a wastewater treatment plant the right way. And in the meantime, we're going to straighten out the one we've got now. And so I see, no, that's not it. I thought I saw a picture of them. But anyway, those are the ponds. Those are aerators that have to be, we're going to have to go in and muck out the ponds. The sludge that's in there is going to have to be cleaned out. There's filters in all these by the stations they're going to have to be cleaned out. They haven't done that in a while. There's a number of things that are going to have to be done to straighten these out. And these guys are going to be our consultants, and actually they're hard workers. They're down there working every day. So they will be doing that, and we will get that wastewater treatment plant squared away with a new staff that knows what they're doing. And we will get the smell out of the air over there, and we'll move forward. Oh, that must be it. It is our landfill. When I first got elected mayor, probably in the first month, I got a dirty little letter from Arizona Department of Environmental Quality telling me that I was in all kinds of trouble because I hadn't closed the landfill. Well, of course, I had no knowledge that we were even supposed to close the landfill. And so that was a few years back, and now we've just about got where we can close the landfill. And now they've changed the rules, and they want us to do different things. And we went out. One of the reasons that we didn't get it closed, it was going to cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars in dirt, hauling the dirt to the landfill and just obtaining the dirt. Well, Arizona Water Company, when they sunk their ponds in Coolidge, their ponds where they recharged their water and put it underground, when they dug their ponds, they had the dirt. So they gave us the dirt. All we had to do was haul it to our landfill. Well, we can't do that now because ADEQ wants us to change some things around over there. They've changed the rules on us. So we're hoping to get that settled. I know Matt's written them some letters, and I think we're going to be in arbitration or something with them pretty quick and see if we can come to a solution. Probably a lot of you that didn't grow up don't know that there is a landfill here because it's been closed for, I don't know, 50 years anyway. And it's, not officially closed, but closed. Library stats. The library was closed on 3/17 due to COVID. We're opened on 6/1 with limited services. Old services continued, new services began. They do a great job over there. They adapted, and they kept on going. The only difference is they wash their hands more often and put on masks. Circulation was 35,767. They still had over 24,000 library visits, and they had 4,200 people come in to use the computers. Here's the programs they did. When the kids were at home, they needed something to do even more, so virtual children's programs, 178 participants in the programs, over 4,000. Friends of the Library Fund supplied school to 200 children. Arizona State Library donates books to children, 400 books. So, they just keep on rolling. That library does a good job. Let's see, adult programs. They've started some adult programs, which is something different for us. Virtual adult programs, and they had 1,600 people participate. They've received a number of grants, which helps us keep going. Grants received at the time, Story Walk built the San Carlos Park. That was a $5,000 grant. Public Library Association funds for summer internship grant, $3,500. Accessibility equipment grant for visually impaired, $10,000. Cisco grant donates wireless access to pilots to extend the Wi-Fi signal. Arizona State Library Cares grant. There's another one for security cameras and outside furniture, $3,000. And the Women's Suffrage Anniversary grant, $500. I would say that the Wi-Fi grant became very important because our students a lot of them didn't have Wi-Fi at home. So they could go to the parking lot next to the library and do their schoolwork. And that was important. And the cameras might come in handy helping us solve a burglary. You never know. May have caught whoever did it on camera. Fire statistics. In 2020, we had over 1,200 EMS runs, fire, 143, hazmat, 31, and service calls, 638. Total calls for service, 2025, and grants received, 113,000 plus. As you can see, the service calls, 31, hazmat, 7% were fire, and 60% were EMS runs. There's our fire engine that's still in Henderson, Nevada. It should be down here, according to our chief, I don't know, a couple of months, I believe it was, wasn't it, Chief? Yeah. He's busy eating his burro. I'll catch up to him later. But we're going to, I think, if the council agrees, we're going to ask for 4 new full-time firefighters in this upcoming budget. Matt McCormick, who is the president of the chamber, was on earlier, is a partner with Jakob Anderson, and they make up St. Holdings, and they've expressed an interest in donating the land to construct a police and fire station down south. It will be, I think it was, 87 and Selma? Yeah. 87 and Selma Highway. There's a little corner there. Somebody just paved the road in there. It wasn't us, but somebody did. And that will probably be where our southern police and fire substation is going to be. I think that'll probably come to the city council for approval next month. Thank you. Okay, our police department. I was at this one, but I didn't do hardly any of the work. It was all done before I got here. I did the good part. I just gave some of it away. Police department staff stuffed backpacks and school supplies provided by Pappas Kids Schoolhouse Foundation. Second year in a row, and I was here, and it was nonstop. People drove through and drove through and drove through, and the officers and their administrators gave away 1,500 backpacks. We've got 2 K-9 units here, while other communities are backing away from canines and law enforcement in general. We won't do that here as long as I'm the mayor. Nikifa is a Malinois. They're crazy dogs, but they can really smell. And so it was brought to Coolidge PD this year in February, and she narcotics detention certification in March, and she will begin patrol training phase this month. And Robbie is the same, who came here in May of 2019, and he's dual in narcotics and patrol. So there they are, and they're fast and they can jump, so don't try to outrun them. I know that from personal experience. Captured inmates, there they go. Now once again, I'm going to set the record straight, because a lot of people take a lot of credit for things that are done by Coolidge agencies and organizations. Coolidge PD and the U.S. Marshals captured the guys that escaped from Florence prison. That's who did it. So there's a picture of it. We didn't stage this. This is live and in color, and here it is. So I want to congratulate them. They've done an excellent job. Where a lot of police departments backed away from enforcing certain things last year, and I'll probably get in trouble for this, but ours didn't. Ours, if you look at the stats, I think proportionally we did more law enforcement work than some of the very large police departments, even out of this county. So I congratulate our police officers. They do an excellent job. Tips from the community. Oh, what was that? Oh, yes, that's right. And I guess they split up the reward, which they should have done, and that turned out pretty good. Fly-ins, I've been to almost every one of them. They're from October to April. You're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go out there and take a look at them. Very interesting. It doesn't cost any money. Mr. Garrett, the Lions, they're out there. You can buy breakfast, all you can eat for $8. It's a pretty good time, and it's in the morning. It's usually cool. Yep, there you go. The reconstruction, airport reconstruction, completely reconstructed 523 runway with a $9.5 million grant from the FAA, which I don't think our match was much at all. Is happily received by the flying community and serves an additional economic attractor for future aviation business. Goes without saying, I think we have one more jump left on that runway, and we'll be able to handle just about any plane they make. The master plan. The master plan is in motion after receiving a $400,000 grant from ADOT. I kid the city manager because I think myself and one other guy who I won't mention are probably the only two people in the whole community that aren't on the committee to develop the master plan. Everybody I talk to says, hey, I'm on that committee. So I'm glad. They're going to have some participation, though. And it's a very important document. This will assist the city in identifying airport uses, planning, and activities. And a study recently conducted by Pinal County shows Coolidge Municipal Airport as an ideal location for future aeronautical and space technologies. And I know that some of our higher-ranking officials here spoke with the senator about this very thing, and as it turns out, he one time was an astronaut, so he's very concerned about these things. So that's a good thing for us, since we have an airport. Okay, where we're headed. Wastewater operations. Well, I'm not going to go into a whole bunch about that. I'll just say that we're going to fix the wastewater treatment, we're going to upgrade it, and we're going to solve our problems. Nicola will be a premier economic driver headed into the coming year. There's global attention from potential business. We're still getting a lot of inquiries on business here. Gilbert and his staff are working over there like crazy. Well, all of our city employees work, but they're doing a lot of attention is coming on since Nicola started actually building. And it looks like the end of August and beginning of September, if things go right. We talked to the man in charge of building the factory just yesterday, as a matter of fact. If things go right, they'll be building trucks out there in the near future. So the more they get done, and the more activities out there, the more phone calls we get from other people wanting to come to the inland port in Coolidge. The Aquatic Center is going to open in May. Public Works is going to move into their new building by the end of 2021. Library, transit, parks, recreation participation rates expected to climb through 2021. We're going to have a lot more people living here. Actually, our census numbers won't be anywhere close to correct because they'll be from December, and I don't know how many houses will close after December forward. Road work and the much needed areas of Coolidge will wrap up. Is that it? Oh, okay. Almost. We'll wrap up with 4.5 miles resurfaced and reconstructed. The master plan will start leading to increased economic activity. Still a lot of things we got to do. We need some infrastructure at the airport. We're working with some of these people on what we're actually going to do at the airport. There's different ways of looking at philosophies on how we're going to move forward with it, but no matter how we decide to do it, we're going to need electric and plumbing, and water. So we're going to need to upgrade the infrastructure out there. Airport master plan to start leading. Okay, engine 535 to be placed in service by the end of the summer. That's the one that's still in Henderson. And home building continues to grow in Coolidge, and I anticipate that growth continuing. I would say, before I get into that, I wanted to mention that partnerships are a big thing now with everybody. You can't go it alone as any kind of entity anymore and be successful. When you're looking for grants, when you're looking for anything, one of the main things that the people that evaluate them and determine who gets them look at is, are there any partners in these things? And if there's no partners, usually you get put in the stack over here and they continue on. So we partnered quite a bit with the county, and other agencies to try to get things going in all different assets and phases of everything we do at the city. We will continue to revitalize our downtown. City managers promised me we're going to have some actually vegetation. We're going to have some trees and bushes. I don't know if they're going to be metal or real or what, but we're going to have something. We're going to get the landfill closed one way or the other. Parks and Rec has moved to Artisan Village. Kids Camp will probably come out of there. I think we're going to see them walking down to the new pool facility instead of riding buses and things. So there's going to be a lot of things going on here. We will have some pitfalls. The state legislature is not our city and town's friends usually. So that's going to be a problem for us. Increasing fuel and construction material costs are going to hinder growth, not just for Coolidge, but for everybody. And one more thing, I want to just say something, and I wanted to say it before, I wish I had more time, but cities are built by community. It's a community, and they're built by people. And people, to me, are judged by their character. And I want to show a few slides and say a few things about, Coolidge. I don't get into the social media too much, but people once in a while mention something to me about, oh, I saw this, I saw that on here or there. And, everybody always seems to be talking smack about Coolidge, for lack of a better. I'll just use the terms that we use once in a while when we're not in an official gathering like we are now. But, and I think it's wrong, because we have a lot of people of character here in Coolidge. And I think we get a bad rap a lot of times, and I'm going to straighten that out too. Here we have a young lady, that's Taya. She's a student body president at Dalfrey. She was with our meeting the other night, and she helped lead the meeting in the Pledge of Allegiance. She's a student body president at Imagine Elementary Coolidge, and she agreed, and her parents agreed to let her come and do this with us. But we're trying at the city council and the city, we're trying to get our young people involved, because I think one of the ways you build character is you get them involved in government. You get them involved in things. I look at her and she got beat the year before, but she ran again and she won. And so to me, that says a lot about her. And so that's the kind of people, people get on the internet and they look and they say, well, where do I want to live? Do I want to live down there? No, they get on these pages and they see everybody, oh, don't live there. There's nothing to do. The schools stink. The people are terrible. I say, crap. There you go. Right there is part of what we're all about down here. There's one of our youth. There's nothing wrong with her. Better Human Coalition, helping to keep Coolidge clean, safe, and strong. A couple of young ladies that have moved in here, Heather and Renee. I've been with them painting over graffiti. I've been with them cleaning up in the middle of the summer the highways, the streets here in Coolidge. No, they don't get paid to do it. They do it on their own time. They do it with their own money if anything needs to be done. They recruit other people to come out and help them do it. And they don't ask for anything. They just do what they need to do. That, to me, that's character. They're not doing it for any reason, not running for any office. They're not trying to impress anybody. They're just trying to clean up this community. There's some more people live in Coolidge. I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with those people. I want to talk about a couple other people. The one sitting right here that came in late, as he usually does. But this guy, he did it when he was on, we created, when we started here 6 years ago, when I first became mayor, we created the Coolidge Youth Council. Because I thought then that we needed to get our students involved, our young people involved in government. They needed to go to the League of Cities conference with us. They needed to see how government worked. We need young people. I'm old, I'll be dead. People will need to take over. We need guys that know what they're doing, because the last thing you want to do is put somebody that's never done any of this into an office, because you can't do that anymore. You can't just elect somebody and throw them in there, because it moves fast, and if you don't have any experience or know what you're doing, you're going to get run over by the guys with experience, and the money's all going to be gone, and you're going to wonder what hit you. And that's why we need to get our youth involved in this town. And we are starting to do it, and we need to do it better than what we're doing, though. So this gentleman right here, and there's another lady, Diane Guerrero, who's on the school board, are both, what are you now, 20? Are you that old? Well, you weren't when I first met you. But they're both 20 years old, probably the youngest city council and school board combo in the whole state of Arizona that you're going to see. So when you start talking about and running Coolidge down, take a look at some of these guys. Take a look at some of the people that we have here. This is we're not no chump show. This is Coolidge. Is a good place to be. It's a good place to live. If you want to move your family to a place where the people have character, then I say move to Coolidge. Thank you very much.